r/AskReddit. What's the worst sex ed advice you received at school? I knew this genius at school from the football team who I once heard saying, yes, so if you finish inside a girl, try your hardest to pee in her. The acidity of pee will kill the sperm. Fortunately, we were in anatomy class and my teacher heard it too. She gave us a quick and actual sex ed class right there and then. Sounds like an episode of South Park. We had an abstinence educator talk to my 10th grade class about some activities that didn't involve vaginal intercourse. Some kid in the back of the room recommended anal. It was all over at that point. We were told that a wet dream produced an amount of fluid tantamount to wetting the bed. They didn't even tell us what fluid it was. Okay, so I've always been confused by this. Are wet dreams orgasmic every time you get to wake up to coming in your pants? Or is it different? And it's like you wake up going, huh, that's not jizz. What is that? And it's like the same thing as when girls squirt. And it's not quite pee, but something else. I'm so sorry this sounds so dumb, but I have questions and I want answers. Edit. I am getting so many answers, thank you so much. The STD talk during my middle school's health class comprised of a vague video showing a paintbrush dipping into various paints, one after another, until there was a messy smear of colors everywhere. The advice was, verbatim, girls, don't let other people's paint get anywhere near you. Art class afterwards was real fun though. My school did this with Skittles. They gave each person a bunch of Skittles of one color. Then you were supposed to shake hands with 5 other kids and swap one Skittle when you did. So you end up with Skittles of various colors. Then at the end, they said handshaking was sex, and the Skittles are STDs. Yellow is HIV, red is gonorrhea, etc. They gave each Skittle a disease. Look how many STDs you have after having sex 5 times. Then we all ate the Skittles. Not sure where that fit into the mediocre analogy. When I was in middle school, an 8th grader told me that men have a set number of sperm, so if I masturbated too much I'd never have kids. If that were true, I think most men would be infertile by their 20s, lol. It was unsolicited sex advice from a psych-tay. Don't go into dark alleys because you will end up having sex in there. With who? No freaking idea. Maybe the Weird Alley Sex Goblins. Weird Alley Sex Goblins. Sounds like an amazing band name. I'm 24 and when I was a freshman in high school, my health teacher legit told us that women could get pregnant by just sleeping naked next to a man. She told us of her best friend who never had sex, but kissed and hugged a man naked and got pregnant. I mentioned my age because that kind of batshit crazy take on sex ed seemed outdated to us and it was relatively recent. It was a public school 2BTW. Wrap it twice. Just as nice. The condoms rub against one another and have a greater chance of breaking. One is fine. What you do is you put one on and then add hot sauce and then put on the other one. You will notice if one of them breaks. If you have sex, you will get gonorrhea and you will die. Our teacher told us all the different types of sex. Oral, vaginal, anal, and some girl asked him if finger banging counted as sex. He said, no, it doesn't. The girl then proudly proclaimed that she was still a virgin. That was grade 5, folks. As a guy, the only thing I learned from sex ed, and this was for all the boys to learn once the girls were separated, was that pregnancy can happen and this what an anatomically correct penis is. An anatomically correct penis? Were they trying to shame some poor kid? I had no sex education, not from parents or school. Our school's excuse for sex ed was a 1-hour presentation where the girls and boys were separated. Girls were taught about periods, what an STD was and how pregnancy happens. Nothing about actual sex, nothing about men's bodies, nothing about safe sex, nothing about birth control. I had never heard of a clitoris until I was 14. Thank God for the internet. Seriously, I don't know what I would have done. I basically had the same sex ed they gave in Mean Girls. The whole condoms don't work. Pills don't guarantee 100%. So if you have sex, you will get pregnant. If you have sex, you'll get pregnant and die. When I was homeschooled, my mom told me that masturbating caused cancer because you'd be too aggressive to your ball sack due to the motion. I feel bad for my father now. You guys got sex ed? Cries in Eastern Europe. The sex ed I had in school consisted entirely of A 20-minute video in 3rd or 4th grade that basically amounted to sometimes you'll pee your pants when you're asleep, but it's not pee. This is normal, and in health class we had a unit on STDs. Not like how to prevent, treat them. But wow, this sucks. Look at all those rashes and hives you can get. So I'd say the worst sex ed advice I received at school was NA. Yep, the sex ed I got at school was basically look at these horrific pictures of STDs. The only way to not get them is to not have sex. In primary school they decided to separate the boys and girls classes and show the boys the girls sex ed video and vice versa. Not a clue what was going on in their heads. We had ours in 5th grade. It made for a very uncomfortable few weeks after. This isn't advice, but my sex ed teacher told us, ejaculate is the whitest substance on earth. Your sex ed teacher's cum looks like whiteout. That men had to be circumcised before having sex, or the foreskin would rip, leading to all kinds of infections, permanent injury, or even death. Edit. For all the unlucky enough men commenting about their frenulum ripping. That's not what I'm talking about. It sucks. It's incredibly painful, and it's a very real danger. But it is not what I was told was going to happen to my penis. This was an adult male science teacher telling a bunch of 11 and 12-year boys that if they tried to have sex without getting circumcised, that their foreskin was going to rip in half like a banana peel, and they were either going to become impotent, get off gangrene of the dong, or bleed to death as a result. Edit 2. Thanks for the reward. It's my first one. Is that a little COVID mask? That's cute. Thanks. That sex isn't supposed to end until the lady's boobs start whistling. This sounds like something your older brother would come up with and tell you to duck with you. Don't have sex or your penis will fall off. Flex tape fixes everything. We never really spoke about it, which I guess is worse. To be fair, my friend didn't get pregnant until after mandatory, when she was 16. It's mandatory for girls to get pregnant at 16. That's rough, buddy. I had a gym teacher say it's impossible to have sex with a woman if she didn't want to because the hole closes up if she doesn't want it. He went to jail for guess what? Tax fraud. I went to a school in a wealthy suburb in Texas. Our school was forced to teach safe-sex, not safe-sex. So, abstinence only. No discussion on condoms or any other type of birth control. Like a third of the female students graduated with at least one secret abortion under their belts. And here in Arkansas they would all birth the babies. Abstinence is the only way to get to heaven. Unless you are married. Total BS. There's a stairway you can buy. Condoms are worthless, so don't bother. This was at a public school in an abstinence-only state. The statistics they gave us were that condoms fail 16% of the time, because there are tiny pores in them, and sometimes human sperm can swim through those pores. The HIV virus is 100% smaller than a human sperm, so how often do you think it can get through those pores? As an adult, I found out that these BS claims are based on lambskin condoms, which actually say right on the package that they are not recommended for the prevention of disease because they do, in fact, have microscopic pores in them. But like, I don't even know where you would get these condoms. All the ones I've ever seen in a store are latex, which has no pores, and are far from useless. Abstinence is the only 100% effective form of birth control. Well, no shit, but we're teenagers, and we're gonna duck, so you'd better start giving us some alternative. If you swallow semen at least once a week, you'll get better grades. He failed me anyway. In HS, we were allowed to write down questions before the class started and they would be read without identifying us. My question was, will we be learning safe sex for gay lesbian relationships? My teacher looked uncomfortable and basically said no because the state guidelines wouldn't allow him to talk about those kind of relationships and only heterosexual relationships. Basically it was the worst advice cause we never got it. What sex ed? All we were really taught was the name of the different parts of the body for boys and girls. At least that is all I remember from middle school health class. I remember in 2nd grade being taught to never mix blood with other people because I could get HIV, which would kill me. Fun times. I was told that I would die if I got pregnant. As a lesbian, I'm not sure I need to worry. If a guy wants to rape you, just close your legs really tight and contract everything down there. It's impossible to open your legs if you do this. If a girl gets raped, she must have wanted it to happen at least a bit. I left the classroom and went to the principal's office to complain. She got fired. Edit. Some people don't believe it's a true story. That's okay, I know nothing ever happens in real life. To clarify, she wasn't a teacher. She was invited by the school to talk to us because she was in some kind of association dedicated to the youth. But she used that to promote her very conservative views, pro-life, homophobic, and the principal didn't know that. Did anyone else get the tape thing? My teacher took 2 pieces of duct tape and stuck them to her sleeves. She would then peel them off and re-stick them to her sleeves, getting the backside of the tape more linty each time. She said that the pieces of tape were people, and every time she put them on her sleeve it represented them having sex with a different person. Eventually, when she put them together, they didn't stick very well from all shirt fibers, and this meant they were so emotionally disconnected they couldn't form a lasting bond. So don't have sex or you'll be a broken shell of a person unable to love. We got separated, girls in one room and boys in another, and proceeded to tell us girls it will hurt no matter what and we have to be the careful ones with contraception and STD contraction. Whilst the boys got it's cool, you're fine. Luckily my mum and I are close, so having that talk was a lot more insightful and easier than the shit they gave us at school. The worst advice I got was during an activity about pro-life, pro-choice. 5 girls, including myself, sat in a line and were given different life scenarios and if we would keep a child. Mine was getting pregnant during a one-night stand while being a freshman in college, and that I would have complications because of health-related reasons. I said I would have aborted because of the college, financial, and health issues. My teacher continues to grill me on why I would make that decision. Finally she said to me, "You would likely be able to triumph any medical challenges and there are organizations and your parents could help you raise the child. A new child is a gift and the most important thing a woman could ask for. Just don't have sex." A ridiculous amount of school, including mine, say this, and it's the stupidest thing. Do they seriously expect it to work? And now when the kids who got that advice have sex, they don't know how to do it safely. The worst sex ed advice that schools give is the omission of advice at all. Masturbation elongates your penis. This happened at a school camp and the one teacher said it. Half of my class were just tugging their slugs for the rest of THST afternoon. I'm glad we had a competent and down-to-earth teacher for sex ed. She started class by filling up a condom with water, saying, "If a guy tells you he doesn't want to wear a condom because his dong is too big for it, remember this." Then she held up this biggest water balloon condom and proceeded watering the plants while telling us about some guy she dated who insisted that he could fill up an entire condom with his load, muttering, "Fill it with bullshit, alright." She made class so much fun. She also looked like Ms. Frizzle. When a mother breastfeeds her child, she'll often become sexually aroused. This is normal. The vagina forms a suction around the penis. I was in a Catholic school. They told us not to do it, as if I'd have any chance. Sometimes a boy will be attracted to a boy. This is just an unhealthy phase, and will pass. A textbook in Missouri. I was in 7th grade sex ed a long time ago and we were having a test. One question was along the lines of how does a female not get raped, or something to that effect. The answers were: don't walk alone at night, B, don't wear revealing clothes, C, don't talk to strangers, D, all of the above. I wrote in E, there shouldn't be a reason, and got it wrong. We played a board game in high school health class where essentially, you landed on a space, were given a sexual situation, and if you chose to engage in the sexual situation, you would have to take a card, which we quickly learned all had graphic pictures of stees on them. My situation was that I, a very obviously gay 17-year-old, was watching a movie with my very real, very heterosexual boyfriend and cuddling under a blanket. So should I keep my hands above the blanket? Or should I put my hands below the blanket with him? I obviously picked hands above the blanket because I really didn't want to see a picture of herpes at 10 in the morning. But, you know, all those hand jobs in monogamous relationships that led to you getting an STI? Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.